Welcome to Banking on Community, a podcast that explores how community banks thrive with the leaders who run them. I'm your host, Deb Barnes, a banking strategist and AI advisor with 18 years in banking and financial services. I help banks transform through data, analytics, and automation. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Frank Trotter, president at Battle Financial and legacy banker. Frank, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh boy, it's I'll skip 90% of it. I've been in banking since the Dead Sea was only sick. Started out a million years ago in a very entrepreneurial bank in St. Louis called Mark Twain Banks, obsessively entrepreneurial. And after that was sold in the usual big fish eating the little fish. In the 90s, we got together and founded something called Everbank. We were able to launch that in 2000 as one of the early, if not the first, direct online banks. If you think about it, it's about 8 years before the iPhone, so people weren't really thinking about direct banking at that point. That did well. It grew to about 28 billion, and in 2017 was sold. I retired for about 30 seconds, and after watching the market, got in contact with an old friend, also an old guy, in the market, a friend named Rick Rule, who'd spent his career building Sprott USA, amongst others, in Sprott. And we decided to get into the business and launch Battle Bank. And so Battle Financial is the future holding company for Battle Bank, and that's what we're building.
Fantastic. So how long has Battle Bank been in operations? What was the start time frame? I didn't catch that.
Well, Battle Bank is in its final process with the Federal Reserve to open. So we would anticipate opening this fall or early in first quarter, depending on the Fed timeline. As anybody who's been around regulators or building commissioners or pharmaceutical approval processes, you never quite know when that final yes is coming, but we're optimistic it will be very short.
That's great. That's fantastic. Good for
in
you.
contact with our friends at the Fed. So we're about to launch. And it is interesting. When we started Everbank, we had exactly 0 people on the wait list. Today, we have about 18,000 people waiting to open an account, and looking forward to it. So it's been exciting to put together. It's been a little long, but that's what regulatory processes are. And you just have to live with it and put one foot in front of the other.
So you're ready. Your clients are ready, and now we're just waiting for the final go from the regulators. That's awesome. So I imagine you're working towards some significant growth here. Although it sounds like you're lined up with a lot of folks ready to join in.
I think the wait list is going to be great. People are very enthusiastic. We have a very specific community, and I know you like to talk about community banking. Very specific community that we like to serve, and that community really doesn't have a lot of alternatives. So when they see what we're planning to do, people are excited.
So what's the community specifically? Who are you? Who
if you look at the community, it's national. It's also Canadian. It's people who, if you one kind of easy way to look at it is one of the key characteristics is they typically subscribe to or listen to independent financial research. Now, that might come in the form of a newsletter. It might be a podcast today. It might be a YouTube channel. And, they probably read the Wall Street Journal. They probably, read the Financial Times and the Economist, but they want another view. It's kind of a contrarian community. There are a lot of other definitions that we have. It's about 20 million people nationwide, very focused on having a little different way of looking at things. And our community is that community of people who sort of self-actualize or self-directed investors, have a little different viewpoint on life. And it's something that I've been involved in for 35, 40 years, and Rick Rule, our other lead investor, has also been involved for 45 years or so. So sort of well-known people in that market, and we think we know what some of the folks would like to do, and trying to put it together to get it down to them.
Fantastic. And so will Battle Bank, what's the kind of product offering going to look like? Is it primary consumer products? Does it include small business?
Of course. All the above. We'll start with consumers. I can sort of throw my brick through the window to start out with, which is, the big banks, as you are well aware from your previous career, whether it's JP Morgan or Citi or Wells or any of the large banks, have a habit of paying. I think the highest checking account rate I've seen is 0.01% APY with a $25 fee. That's just not right. We'll have a single cash account and it'll pay today 3.7, 3.8, sort of think Marcus, and it'll have full checking ability. Period. It's that simple. You don't have to shuffle money back and forth. That's the trick the banks play to sort of make sure you keep too much money in checking and not enough savings. We'll have a number of alternative investing options. You can buy, sell, deliver precious metals if you want to hold gold or silver in your account. There's some ETFs, GLD, and others. Okay, but a lot of our client base, like it's kind of the hard money crowd, wants to hold precious metals. You can diversify into foreign currency deposits, FDIC insured deposits, denominated in about 20 different currencies. The way the dollar is looking right now, we may have just by sheer luck walked into a period where the dollar may weaken. We don't run the market, but people want to approach that in different ways. And then sort of a final leg of the stool is self-directed IRAs, not whether you go to Schwab or Fidelity, you can buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That's great. But there are other legal things for IRAs, income producing properties, hard money loans, private equity, crypto, other things that you're not going to find at the big financial supermarkets. And through a checkbook IRA or a solo 401k, you can access all those things that are in IRS speak, not ineligible, which of course we might say are eligible. So we allow people, again, we have a self-directed investor type, we have a self-actualizing individual that wants to do that. So if you want to have a 4-family flat or Airbnb, that's a great thing to hold in your solo IRA or your solo 401k. So that's kind of the easy and obvious elements of the offering. We'll have business banking as well, just basic business banking. We're not going to try to take over Boeing's accounts payable. That would be a little different operation. But it's really everything that we could help that typically entrepreneur self-actualizing individual accomplish in their life.
That sounds awesome. What a unique definition for your audience. And I think, there is really an opportunity there where other people, you're piecing together products from lots of different companies to try and create that kind of a profile that you just described. So, all right, well, let's jump into some industry trends. And you hinted at some of it as you talked about, why you put together this bank in the first place. But, what's the big wave everyone in banking seems to be trying to ride right now, in your view?
I think it's interesting. It's kind of bifurcated into a couple different things. You have the big banks who are, let's take Chase, building 500 branches a year. And the only way you can make any money there is you sell a high fee environment. So they do a great job of that. More kudos to Jamie Dimon. Wouldn't want his job. I'd love his salary. But they have it down. But yeah, I don't think it's really a great consumer offering. I think people, as you probably know, are more held back by inertia. I just don't want to change my bill pay. I don't mind that I'm not being paid. That might cost me $500, $1,000, $10,000 a year. But, oh, gee, I don't want to spend 2 hours doing that. So that inertia is what the big banks are really betting on. And on the other hand, you have some of the digital offerings. Some of them are non-banks that are software in front of a bank, and some of them are banks who do a pretty slick job of doing very narrow items. But if you look at some of the net value there for the consumer, I think you can lead with a great high rate. That's wonderful. But it's hard to broaden that product offering when you don't own the charter. And so when we started to put Battle Bank together, we did look at that, but then we said we really want to control our own destiny. At the end of the day, some of those software companies, the back end banks might say, I've got enough. Stop selling. I kind of personally like to control that. And there are other ways to do that. So I think those are, the consumer can benefit from some of those software. Banking as a service, of course, is what it's called in the industry. But I don't think it's as broad as it really needs to be. It may be down the road. So those are a couple of the big trends. And of course, on the lending side, some of the big banks are so scattered obviously mortgage rates are high and you're trying to be all things to all people, but stay out of this market. It's just hard to really think about what they're doing. It's funny. Uh, Rick, our lead investor, is somebody everybody should want to bank. And he goes down to the branch in his neighborhood. He says he's a wonderful branch manager. He's a great person, great with people, but doesn't know much about banking. So every time he goes in to ask a question, they point to a white phone on the desk, and somebody at the other end picks it up and talks to him. And sometimes they get it done, and sometimes they don't. So it's really when you have all those branches, it's very difficult to have the training, the quality, the knowledge base that's out there in the market. And I think that's more and more. I would hope more and more people start to consolidate into quality centers, but we'll see where that goes.
Interesting. And so you're also seeing this, is there something going on in the market right now why we are seeing more of these, entrepreneurial solo investors, or has it just been an unserved need for a long time?
Our client base has just been an unserved need for a long time. We dealt with it at Everbank. Rick dealt with it at Sprott. We actually were involved with it back at Mark Twain Bank, and it's sort of we happened to stumble into it one time way back in the late 1980s, and have just been able to work with the folks ever since then. It's just like any other community bank. You draw the circle around the branch, you try to understand what the needs are in that community, and then you go serve the community. And our community just doesn't happen to have a circle. It's all over the country. It's all over Canada. And it's trying to really achieve certain objectives, and we help them do that.
All right. Well, thanks for that industry overview. How about you? So what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
I mean, outside of our friendly regulators,
Yeah.
that's our biggest one. But I think one of the interesting things to me was as we started to put this together, I would have thought by now you could bring up a few companies and have a great online account opening system. Just say, okay, we'll pay you X dollars a month and you can run it. Doesn't exist. We thought there would be a great system that we could really do online banking with. And sure, the Fiservs, the FIS, the Jack Henrys have something. And I have bank accounts elsewhere, and I'm tortured by all those systems. So we had to build both online account opening and online banking from the ground up with a partner. So that's been a huge process that seems like it should be table stakes. And I've just, we've been with all the big companies at one point or another, and they're great in certain areas. I won't say who, but several of them are still running Fortran to run their core system, and it scares the heck out of me. And the modern core systems are developing. The modern front ends are developing. The big companies are working with it, but they haven't transitioned. So I think our biggest sort of sidelight is we've had great partners is getting all that done. It was funny. One of the online account opening companies we interviewed early on, he said, "Well, we have these different account types, and can you open all those?" And they said, "Well, sure, we can open a personal account for a checking." And then we said, "Joint?" They said, "Well, coming next month. IRA, no. LLC, no. LP, no. Trust, no." I said, "Well, thanks. It was a great
No,
conversation.
thanks.
See ya." And that was one of the majors. And so that's the sort of thing that's been frustrating to us, but we're getting it done. And I think we've built an unbelievably good system, but we'll see what that looks like in 10 years.
Yeah, I think, something you said earlier about people counting on inertia. That's why those account opening systems are not great, right? It's like, does anybody really want one? Maybe is the question on the other side. It's their competitive advantage right now. So it'll be
Yeah.
exciting to
And
see a good one.
hopefully we've made it really easy for you to become a client, and we'll see how that goes. And we've been testing it for a long time. We're believers, but you never know until you put it in the market.
What do you think is the big differentiator for your opening process versus what you've seen out there?
I think the breadth of opportunity. There's many people, not most, have a lot of different structures. They want to go through it very quickly and simply. And so when you have the right back ends to double check whether they're who they say they are, do all the KYC, do all the OFAC stuff, um, and an easy way to lead them through to say, well, I do need this document, and here's why. Uh, if you've ever been on the phones with a bank client, you say, I would like XYZ document. They spend the next 5 minutes telling you why you don't want it. It's easier to tell them up front this is required for some particular purpose. Maybe it's not even our idea. It could be regulatory requirement. Just making all those steps really easy. Adding that a joint account holder. We started Everbank. You just put your joint account holder on there, and that was it. They wasn't sort of like a second signature or anything like that. Now, of course, they have to make the independent decision, so that process had to be.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, and same thing for limited partnership or an LLC. How do you add all those different signatures, different levels of authority? Somebody can view but not transact. Somebody can transact but not do this. All those little permutations are what make it all the more fun.
Nice. Well, I hope it's amazing. It sounds like you've been doing a lot of testing, so hopefully that will work really well. Anything else? Anything else that's been harder than it should be lately?
Really, no. I mean, we've got a very experienced team. Our director of banking operations ran the Everbank operations for 20 years. Our marketing director, CMO, was the Everbank marketing director for 10 years. And on the retirement side, a couple of the folks came out of Solera National Bank in Colorado, the former CEO and the former CFO running that division. So we have a very independent, highly experienced self-starter team. So everybody just puts their head down and gets their work done. And so that's been a lot of fun. But no, I think actually things are coming together quite well. There have been days banging our heads against the wall, whether it's a software development issue or connectivity issue or a new regulation that pops up. Of course, that's the banker's friend every day. And now we're looking at, it's certainly not going to happen in the first 6 months or maybe the first year, but given the Genius Act, what do we do with stablecoin? This is exactly something that our client base would love.
We'll be interested in.
And we understand it. Actually, in the 1990s, we led the launch of eCash, which was the first digital payment system available in the world. So we know this stuff, but now we have to figure out how to cram that into our operation and make it work.
Something I was thinking about as you were talking through, the launching this bank is, the banks I've worked at and many of my colleagues and your colleagues, I'm sure, one of the biggest challenges is at scale, the level of manual work that is still there is really quite astronomical. So it sounds like you're getting to build it, from the ground up and avoid some of that. Have you run into any, spaces where it has been still difficult to eliminate manual processes?
Well, I think we will eliminate many of the manual processes, although maybe not day one. We have a pathway to do that. And I agree with you completely. At the end of Everbank, we had about 3,500 employees. I think we probably could have done 2,000 with 2025's level of automation. Of course, we were a big mortgage originator, a big mortgage servicer, and that just takes humans.
Yeah, lots of people, lots of documents being processed that now, different Gen AI capabilities and whatnot can help with, where we just didn't have all that capability before.
Exactly. But we'll start out with a little more manual than we would expect to have in 6 months. And part of that's just making sure that all the circles and arrows are pointed in the right direction. Once we know they are, then we'll turn it over to the system and let it do its job.
It's a kind of a risk and control mindset there in the beginning while you're launching, and then let it.
Because we have a real commitment to quality.
Yeah.
And if we start having things go wrong for clients, that 18,000 of those people are going to come yell at me, and I don't have time for that.
You don't want to be taking those phone calls. I mean, you'll take them, but we'd rather have the call where
take them all day long. That's fine.
I'm so happy.
Exactly. But I think those are some of the things that have got a little frustrating. But we're working through it, and I think you're right. if we even look a little bit over the edge, a lot of AI came to pass as we've already begun building things. So we have a plan to go this way, and AI probably could have been used for a lot of it, but we're going to have to loop back and do that. There's a couple systems we'll probably loop back and rewrite in 2 or 3 years. We know which ones those are. But they'll do the job up front, and we'll just make them better.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think when I've talked with other, leaders at other community banks, there's this balancing act between leveraging the AI and generative AI capabilities and maintaining the personal connection with clients, right? And so one of the things that I have shared is, my viewpoint is, there's some perspective that AI is like a superhero, right? It's nearly magical what it can do. And my point of view is it's more like Batman with a really great utility belt, It's a person that has awesome tools and gadgets helping them be successful, whether that's the client, your employee, or what have you. If you think about it that way, and to your point on things that you're not even willing to fully automate because you need that control, you need that risk management mindset. I think that's a really good way to make progress using these capabilities, but mitigating the risk of using these capabilities at the same time. So that's a little bit of what I've heard the tension is. I don't know. Are you seeing that tension when you're thinking about AI as well?
Of course, and I think it's very early in AI. I mean, obviously, people have been working on it for decades to get to where we are today. But as we understand it better and learn where to plug it in, where pretty much all our team uses it pretty extensively, whether it's asking questions or I dump any document that comes to me into it just to say, what do I need to look out for?
Yeah.
Simple stuff like that. One of our vendors says, just send us your loan document. We'll run it through AI and set all the parameters in our system. So that is just going to get better and better. I think the code writing is going to be one of the most interesting things. I think that's one of the things that certainly slowed us down. But some of our major core processors are starting to use AI to write code. Now, we've all been around that. Now, how do you do the quality control? If AI wrote it, it might write 10,000 lines where a coder might write 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
They might all be right, but now you got to go check 10,000 lines. It's just a different game in the process.
Yeah, we're
but it's
moving from
fascinating.
this AI enhanced moment to an AI first moment where systems are designed with the assumption that there's an AI component versus, right now I think we're still in there's a system and then we're enhancing it with some AI capabilities. So the next, I don't know how long it's going to be. I think it's going to be faster than whatever I say. If I say 3 years, it'll be like, 6 months
It's
from
going
now.
to be fast.
But so I'll get it dead wrong. But soon we're going to see that shift from AI enhanced to AI native, kind of approach.
Right. And at the same time, I mean, one of our commitments though is you can talk to people. A lot of online banks, you can't find a phone number on the website. Probably even some of the majors. We put our number front and center everywhere. We have a team of experienced people. We don't. I'm so sorry for the immediate college grad or high school grad, but we're not hiring you.
Yeah.
We're taking somebody who's been an experienced banker. Our operations centers up on Long Island, so we get folks that used to commute into the city. Maybe they were the branch manager or the lead person in the branch, and now they don't want to drive an hour and a half one way to get to Manhattan. They can sit and islip and just talk to people on the phone, and they've done that transaction 10 times. It's like having a expensive lawyer, but they give you an answer in 5 minutes. And if you got the junior lawyer, it might take them 10 hours.
Right.
And our clients appreciate that. And they love to talk. So that's part of it. The community banking is also part of relationship.
Yeah, that relationship is so important, and your offering is going to be very unique, and so I think your clients will also be very unique. It's not a one size fits all clientele, right? It's very much a personalized, customized, what needs set for each person that you're working with.
Yeah, I mean, for something like our high yield cash account, it's easy, great rate, no fees.
I'll be signing up, later today to get on that list.
We appreciate it. Jump on the wait list.
Jump on the wait list.
The only way anybody's going to open an account the first year is being on the wait list. But no, a lot of the other things is somebody wants to talk through their objectives. Am I doing the right thing? And we don't give investment advice, but we listen and we provide our input. But the individual makes the decision. But they often want to talk through why they're doing it, what the technicalities are, what are the issues. You think about retirement. Is this really legal? Well, IRS is a little fuzzy on some of these things. And so we're not going to tell them, yes, it's legal, but we'll point them to some research.
Here's what the facts are.
Here are the facts. And if you want to buy that 4-family flat, yeah, that works. If you want to buy that 4-family flat and your family wants to visit it once a year, that doesn't work. So little nuances like that we can talk through, but the rest of it is that conversation with the client is so important.
That's great. Okay, let's see. Did I have any other key topics? Okay, future goals. So we talked a little bit about this, but where do you see yourself being 12 months from now? What does meaningful progress look like for your bank?
Well, everything works.
It works. You're
that's
open.
number. We're open. It works. I think we're going to see significant growth. We have a plan, obviously, in with the OCC, and they've been a wonderful partner in this process. We're in constant contact with them. They understand what we're going to do, and everything in our world, of course, we're a bank, is driven around capital ratios. And to the extent that we accumulate more capital over the first year or so, we'll be able to grow faster. But I think by the end of the first year, we should be up and running. We should be solid. We should have a lot of clients. We should be worked our way through the wait list. We'll be opening with a reservation system based off the wait list initially, because we want to, again, maintain that quality interaction with a client. If we had all 18,000 people come in the first day, that would not happen. So
that would just break all your systems.
I think the system, as long as they were what I guess we would all call the green straight through person,
yeah,
we could take them all tomorrow. But given our
likelihood is very low.
The probability is pretty low there, so we just have to judge how many phone calls it's going to involve. But I think we should be well on our way to the growth process. We've been doing forecasts for 1 billion years, and as you know, the only thing with a forecast is it's going to be wrong.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing we know. So it'll be interesting, and a lot of this depends on what's going on in the real world.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's noticed, there's been some changes in economic policy over the last 6 or 8 months, and our clients react differently to some of those changes. And so we'll be able to see where that goes and how that impacts what our clients are doing. But I think we won't be profitable at the end of the first year. I think that would be extraordinary. With maybe a little luck, we can get there. But should be, by the end of, certainly in the mid to the second year, we should be turning it black.
That's great. And are you anticipating, I'm thinking about the population that you've described in terms of your kind of target market, that their per person profitability is going to look very different, or, net present value, lifetime value, whatever version of assessing, kind of profitability for a client. Are you expecting it to have, a similar ramp as your more traditional bank, a higher starting point and level, or is it really, wait and see what this looks like?
Well, we used to do all those comparative studies where you sort of feed your data in, and consulting company would put a bunch of dots up on the screen and say, here's where everybody is and here's where you are. We were always the outlier at Everbank. We had can't probably say our average checking balance out loud, but it was in the high 5 digits for checking. As you know, average bank today is 2,500 to 5,000 average checking. Maybe someday they'll figure out that paying 0.01% impacts that number, but that's just me.
Just saying, probably does.
Just saying. So we look at things a little differently. You probably lived in a cost per account world for a long time. We always look at it as marketing per dollar of deposit. not per account.
Mm.
And total relationships and total relationship present values are very high with our because there are fee businesses that fall off of this and relatively low cost of delivery. Now, without a brand, well, we'll be buying a little bank in Minnesota as our platform, which is what the Fed's working on approving. So we'll have that branch, but it's not going to be the primary location. It's the charter that we'll be using. We're going to operate that branch. It's a wonderful community, love it to death. But the main Battle Bank client will be from across the country, and that cost of delivery is so different in a non-branch banking world. We don't have that 150 to 200 basis points of cost. At Everbank, we did have 10 branches, most of whom we acquired in a failed bank transaction during the crisis. And from a cost basis, it was like two completely different companies for a variety of reasons. And I think by delivering things without primary branches, that changes the pathway to profitability, also the control and the value to the client.
Makes sense. Well, we are getting towards the end of our time. Any final thoughts or things you want to share about the future for Battle Financial?
I think, this is a great podcast to be on because it's about community banking, and we are very passionate about our community. And we had a few people scratch their head and say, "What do you mean? You don't have branches all over the place. How can you be a community bank?" It's about serving a community of people. I think over the last 35 or so years, we've learned from the internet that you can serve a community without being in one place. We're looking forward to it. It's an exciting time to be in the business, and we're getting ready to get out the door. Come visit us.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with all of your approvals, and we look forward to seeing you go live as soon as possible.
And even sooner than that. That'd be great.
Yeah, sooner than whenever's possible would be fantastic. Well, thank you again, Frank. I'm glad that we were able to have this chat.
Sounds great. Onward and upward.